Yes, so welcome to episode 4 of What to Read This Weekend. I am Rachel Green.
And I am Marie Southwell.
Each week we pick a series of books to share with our audience on a particular theme. We record this live at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday, and then we post our episodes to YouTube and Instagram TV. So you can go back and watch our old episodes. We also post our show notes. So any details about the books we share go on our website as well. And we'll share that with you at the end again so that you can write that down and go find our show. So we welcome all of you guys to this week's episode, special episode about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And usually this show is pretty split 50-50 between Marie and I, but I kind of forced her into this one because in addition to being the campus librarian, I also host the Cooperative Collection Development Grant, special collection of STEM books at our campus library. And this is part of some of our open house opportunities. I'm going to present this. I'm also going to present how we do book club books at the Mathical Awards. We received a Mathical Collection Development Award this year, and hopefully also at the New York City School Librarian Association meeting later in May. So this is a portion of my open house where I can showcase some of these books. Before I was a librarian, I was a science teacher for almost a decade. So science is near and dear to me. Sorry, I'm letting people in as we do this. Yeah, so I think it's just, in addition to just having a passion for science and math, I also love that these books that we have in our collection allow our students to see themselves. And I think we'll kind of maybe explain a little bit about that as our show goes on today. So these are the books we're going to talk about and a few more, but these are our focus books for this week. And we're going to start with...
We need to add one thing.
Okay.
So in addition to limiting it by our theme, we also are looking for books that are available right now. So we'll tell you, like, you could check it out right now from Libby, or there's a short wait, because we want you to be able to read this weekend. Be booked for the weekend.
Yeah, so this show was kind of a collaborative way for us to be able to showcase some of our book recommendations that were accessible in some way during this stay-at-home order. But I think both Marie and I have talked about continuing this into next school year as well. So I hope we can do that as the time goes on. So Marie's going to start us off with our first book.
It is Slay. It is brand new. It is out. If I were to give a 40-word pitch, it would be like Ready Player One meets Hate You Give, but it's set in the internet based on a Black Panther environment community world. So the book is about Kira. She's an honor student, math tutor, and one of the only Black kids at her school. But she also at night joins hundreds of players and Black gamers in a worldwide game. It is set, she has like a Nubian persona, and it's a multiplayer online game. She is also the game developer of this online game, and things are going well. Nobody knows this, it's her secret life, until a teen in Kansas City is murdered over a dispute in the Slay world. So basically what happens is it blows the game up to mainstream. There's all this commentary, anti-racist, anti-white, they're claiming it's anti-white discrimination, trolls and inflect the game. And she's basically struggling to like how can she keep the blackness of the world, her identity, but still can she protect the game? Is she going to have to lose her anonymity? This is all part of the story. Okay, now that makes it sound really complicated, but it's actually a very good read. Oh, and this is available through Libby, which is your through the public library. You can check it out from, is it all libraries or just NYPL?
All libraries.
All libraries have a copy, and it just won the Mathical Award. So things I like about it, person of color, it's a girl who's a gamer. You don't always get that. I like the heavy Nubian influence. I like the role playing. There were just a lot of things that I enjoyed reading about. All right,
I'm
Rachel.
super excited because I'm going to add this book to our book club selections for next year with our Mathical grant.
Yay!
The next book is a nonfiction biography called All in a Drop about Antony von Leeuwenhoek and about how he almost pretty much accidentally discovered the microscope. He's considered, I guess, now the father of microbiology, but at the time he was a tailor. Like he created clothing and sold fabric and did alterations. And he realized that he could, this was like in the late 1600s, that he could take a piece of glass shaped in a certain way and it would magnify the picture so that he could easily thread the thread through the needle. That's how he started this. So he wasn't a traditional scientist. In fact, the word scientist wasn't even around at that time. They were considered, like, I think the book said, philosophers of the natural world. And it took a really long time for the Royal Society in England to believe what he was doing because there were no pictures at the time. He couldn't just like send a picture to England and say, look what I've done. He would draw it by hand, and they didn't believe him for a very long time. He made hundreds of microscopes in his life, and they think that he discovered or saw E. coli, Giardia, all these different types of microbes. So I thought it was a really cool, I actually listened to it on audiobook, but it was in a stack of books that I had taken home. So I have the physical book and I looked through that as well. And there's like pictures in the book, like real pictures of like microbes and little animals. I don't know if you can see my screen. And also drawings in the book. So I thought it was a really great all around biography. It was pretty short. And again, like I loved that he wasn't a trained scientist, that he just had this passion for something and he worked really hard. And he was able to discover something that really nobody else had. So that is All in a Drop. And you can get that on Libby or SimplyE. Both of those are with your public library card number. And if you don't have one, you should contact your librarian. They will help you find one or get an e-application for your library card. And the next book is Astrophysics for Young People in a Hurry. And this is available on Audible Stories. So I listened to this on audiobook. It's narrated by LeVar Burton and written by Neil deGrasse Tyson, who also narrated and produced the Cosmos show that used to be on Netflix, but I don't think it is anymore. I really enjoyed the narration by LeVar Burton. Full disclosure, this is the second attempt of this book that I have tried. I tried the not for young people version, and even as somebody who studied physics, I was a physics teacher for nearly a decade, the adult version was very complicated and a little bit hard to stay attuned to. So I really appreciated and I really enjoyed the version for young people. It's kind of like starts out really, really small with like a single speck of dust, and he kind of like zooms out into the universe and what we know about the universe and how we know what we know about the universe. And I think this would be really great for young people or adults. And I really enjoyed listening to the audiobook version. I know that it's not always the same when you listen to a book, but I thought this one was really good. And it was not very long either.
All right.
So our last book
is fiction. It is called Feed by M.T. Anderson. It's an oldie, but a goodie. Well, Rachel and I both really love this description, so I'm just going to read it. Feed is a young adult dystopian novel of the cyberpunk subgenre. The novel focuses on issues as corporate power, consumerism, information technology, data mining, environmental decay, with a sometimes sardonic and sometimes sober tone. So now I'll tell you what it's about. So the world has evolved, I guess one would say, to the point where we all live in the feed. And the feed is basically an implant in your brain. And it gives you everything you could possibly imagine. It gives you, like, imagine what your cell phone does and the computer does and what we're doing right now. It does everything, okay? So it entertains you, it gives you more information. You talk to people virtually through it. And it also, because the environment has gone to decay, when you look through it, it kind of like projects like trees. The trees are all copyrighted. So it'll be like Lysol Tree Corporation, but it'll make this tree really beautiful. Anyway, I digress. So what happens is, obviously, if you're rich, you have really great implants. And if you're poor, you probably only have the basic implants. This group of friends goes to a trip to the moon, but there's a hacker who hacks into the feed system and disables them. And so these end up spending I don't even remember how long it is, for a while in the hospital. And when it comes out of it, Titus, who's the main character, it's still through who's his focus, has a friend, Violet, who decides she's going to break herself off the feed. So part of it is watching Violet as she pulls herself off the feed, but things keep breaking because the feed is everything. It's school, it's the government. Anyway, I loved it because it was enough speculative fiction that it made it seem futuristic, but it was real enough that I could see that it would happen. And there's lots of things you could talk about and explore. Yes, that is the end of my book talk on this. And you can get it at Libby or SimplyE from any of the libraries. In fact, there's lots of copies because it's an older book, so there's not a lot.
Audiobook and ebook were available when I checked.
Yes.
So those were our like 4 top highlights, and we brainstormed like a long list. It's really hard to pick the top 4, and sometimes we want to pick ones that aren't available, or we find other ones. I don't know. It's very overwhelming to narrow it down to 4. So I wanted to share a few more with you. In the top right is the science comics series, and this is something that we have in our school library that's been really popular. And all of these Oh, big trucks going by. Sorry, guys. All of these are available on Open EBooks. So I will share with you the link to get access to Open EBooks. Most schools, some schools have it. Marie and I's school both have it. So
it's very
these are
easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can help you
Yes.
if you don't have access to open books. You just have to be a Title I school. It's very easy.
Yeah. So science and comics, you really can't go wrong. They're pretty cute. They're not very long. They're published by First Second, which I always seem to like what they put out anyways. Marie, do you want to share another one with us?
So a recent one that I just read that's actually from Canada is The Morrow Thieves. And it is post-apocalyptic. I don't know. I'm going through a theme. Oh, Amanda Green read it. Yeah, it's really good. There's indigenous people, indigenous tribes. Amanda, maybe you should unmic and you can talk about it.
Very, very dreadful.
Yes. So go ahead.
Okay. I can talk a little bit about it. I read it. It was maybe the first ebook that I ever read exclusively on my phone, and I got it from Libby. This is a story. It's like very for if you're somebody who really liked to read like The Hunger Games or something like that. It's like a very dystopian future where the only people who can dream are indigenous people, and they are being abducted and taken into taken like basically into labs so that their marrow can be extracted. It is very, very, I mean, you're hooked from the very beginning.
That's why there's so many awards on the front of it. It was just a random find, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So definitely you can check it out on Libby. I think there's not very many copies, right, Rachel? There was like a copy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You should read it.
New York Public had a bunch of copies, I think.
Okay, good.
And I think Brooklyn had copies, but they were all checked out at the time. So you could put yourself on hold for them.
Yeah, if you need a little post-apocalyptic fiction, this is great.
The Radium Girls, I really liked this book. I read it earlier this year, and somebody posted on the chat about it, and I looked it up, and there is a movie that's supposed to come out in April about the main character in this book. And there's also a young adult version that's coming out in September, but it's about the girls who hand painted the faces of watches. And you can see the little under the letter R and girls, you can see the little watch face, that like kind of glowing paint, and really, really bad things happen to them. And because of this, a lot of different health and safety protocols were instilled into factories and manufacturing. So I thought that was really interesting, a really interesting book. I know we have a lot of adults who join in, so I wanted to put some adult interest in here as well. And Very, Very, Very Dreadful is about the flu pandemic of 1918. And there are a few copies of that at the library as well. And I think that if you really are interested in how pandemics happen, especially now, it's really interesting to look back into history. And I saw Jen Hoyer popped in from Brooklyn Connections. She did a really great blog entry a couple weeks ago about some cool artifacts that she found about the pandemic in 1918 from right here in Brooklyn. So we have a couple more announcements to share with you. If you don't follow us on Instagram, we both did a really cool social media campaign this week. It's not too late. to find us on Instagram and complete the challenge for your entry into our contest. And also, it was just really fun to kind of go back through some of my old photos of the library and connect with people over Instagram. Also, tomorrow, Marie, you can jump in.
Oh, that was my cue. Sorry. It's the Y'all Stay Home Book Festival. So it's entirely online. It actually is pretty fun. You can go around to different exhibits, other online book festivals I participated in. I get you put your name in and you get a free bag or a free book. So it's definitely worth popping in and checking it out, staying as long as you want. You just have to follow the link and register, and you'll get a little invite.
Yeah, I know one of my former students was really excited about Becky Albertalli, who wrote Simon, the Simon series. So, and she's coming out with a new book in that universe in June, I think.
Yeah, go check out the authors. I'm sure there's one you would.
Yeah, there's really cool authors. And that's at y'allwest.com. YALLWEST.com. We'll put that link in our show notes. And the last announcement for today is a program that it definitely happened last year. I don't know how long it's been happening. Audiophile does
every year I've been a librarian.
Really? So
that's only 3. So
you can download. They select the books, so you don't get to select the books, but they do a really excellent job selecting the books. There's 2 free downloads a week, and you don't have to listen to the whole book in that week. You just have to download it during that week. And this year they're using Sora, which is a product of Overdrive. So you have to download this app first, but it opens on April 30th, and it opens with the best books.
I know, wasn't it Mondays?
Monday's Not Coming.
Monday's Not Coming. And
the 57 bus.
Oh,
57
those are both the best books. So I expect all of you to download it.
So it's 2 free books every single week, and the books change every week. And we'll put that link in the show notes. And next week we haven't thought of a theme yet. So if you have any suggestions, you can type it in the chat.
Wait, I thought we were doing children's books.
Oh, I just threw that out there.
We're thinking about children's books because we are all children at heart. And who doesn't like to look at pictures?
Yeah, picture books would be fun.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
We could do the best and worst of motherhood.
Also, I think Free Comic Book Day was moved, but it is usually a week from tomorrow, Saturday, May 2nd. So I don't know. Stay tuned for this. I'm going to turn the recording off. You can get our show notes at bit.ly/W, the number 2, RTW 2020. And I'll put those up later today, along with a recording of today's presentation. And I will turn off the recording